Hello, we're live. Hello and welcome to this week's Small Steppers Live Q&A. Okay, so before we do this, can you see and hear me? Questions go in there. You guys know the drill. And I'm doing two live Q&As this week. One for Small Steppers and one for another thing I'm doing with Matt Frazier. So it's a live Q&A week. Thanks, John, for saying so. Glad you can hear me. So, rock and roll. John, week 10, 11. Man, you are becoming a professional small stepper, which is always nice. You don't make any money doing it, but you are professional, technically. Okay, so 11. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Did the time go fast? Or has it crept in a just painstakingly slow way? I'll be the most redundant person because I'll say it again. If you're feeling anxious that things aren't happening fast enough, you know how to approach speeding things up as a small stepper. And that's a different ball game than ramping up because of impatience and burning out. There's been a lot of talk of late for the other thing I'm doing. I did this for a while and then I fell off the wagon. I don't want wagons. I don't like wagons. I don't want wagons because that's the idea of that is you're being good and then you fall off and you're not being good. And the problem with that is that we're setting ourselves up for this kind of failure of we're just spending too much energy self-doubt with self-judgment and self-doubt. Even a 12-week program is a drop in the bucket of a life. It's not that big of a deal. John, I don't know you personally, but I guarantee you, and I hope that you did not have to quit your job and shun your family during this 12 weeks. It is a doable, very doable, and super effective way to live. But you gotta just be adult. I've been talking about it almost as a maturity issue. Of late, it's like, let's stop acting like kids, like, I'm so excited for Christmas. We want that. Oh my gosh, I have a crush on somebody, and it's this kind of thing of, at some point we become adults and go like, okay, well, that was fun. And now I know enough now where I'm not going to play that game. And I'm sort of looking for a deeper experience of life, one that isn't so much about super big excitement and then feeling like a failure and super big excitement and feeling like a failure. This is more like ebbs and flows, living a really good life, moments of, fun and vacation and whatever those little peaks are. But the business of the day to day is really more of a squashed, not so wide, more like this. And that raises the bar of everyday life higher. It makes your everyday life better. And that just means less self-judgment, less self-criticism day to day. It means more effectiveness day to day. It means, on a very physical level, less stress day to day. And that as it has huge effects on your energy and your inflammation and all the things that people want health-wise are going to be affected positively by less stress, period. So if we can get off that model, and this 12 weeks is really just is to slow people down. It's to pull the reins back and say, no, I don't want you to, no. And I want you to ramp things up when you're ready to ramp things up. You ramp things up. I'm not anti-ramping up. I'm anti-ramping up too fast because somebody told you if you do this thing full bore, you're going to lose all this weight in 10 days. And you will lose the weight in 10 days. But that's a false promise because you assume it means you're going to lose the weight for real, but you don't. And so I just want to kind of pull the reins back and say, let's play with this a little. When you're ready to ramp up as big as you could possibly go while still maintaining you might be completely ready for a huge change if you're in that right mindset of, yes, I can do this huge change because it's not too much for me. It's not too little, not too much. It's right. I feel I can do this. My life is such that I can do this. I'm tired of feeling the way I get clients who, I'm tired of feeling this way. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I don't give a crap about food that much. I'm tired of living this way. Then your small step's going to be comparatively huge, but it's still going to be your small step here. So as you progress into the end weeks here, rest assured you can ramp. You can make people will think they're ginormous changes, people outside of you looking at you. My goodness, he changed everything overnight, but you didn't because you've done the thinking along the way. You've gotten prepared. And if you take on too much, you ramp back down, as I've said 1,000 times. And I'll say 1,000 times again. because this is complicated stuff. It is not quick, fixy, flashy stuff. That's easy. To me, that's easy. I could sell you guys on a 10-week program that you're going to lose 30 pounds. That I knew that stuff 9 years ago when I went to school to become a nutritionist. That's the easiest thing in the world, is to get somebody to lose weight really quickly. That's simple. What is an absolutely gargantuan task is to help people become healthy people in mind and body. For real. That is the momentous task of our time, is to get people to incorporate long-term changes in their lives, long-term. Why is it in our time? Because we are up against more marketing and advertising than in the history of our species. We have access to more things being thrown at us against our will, really. We go on Facebook to do something, and there's just ads kind of sneaking in there, and on CNN, and they're tailored to you, and it's kind of boom, boom, boom. So the task of helping somebody incorporate actual change, actual long-term change, is absolutely gargantuan and huge. I can't say it enough. I think people underestimate, really. I think they underestimate it because they still go to those diets. They still think this one's going to be different, and it's not going to be different. It's not how we're wired. So I'd rather get the baseline stuff settled so that people can then ramp up when they're ready to ramp up for real, and get it just as fast as they would have, but it sticks. And that's the big qualitative difference. So on that note, I don't see any questions, but feel free to type them in, whoever's here. There's 2 of you. There were 3 signed up. I've got 10 or 15 in the program right now. Okay, so complacency has been a problem for me. Yeah, I mean, it's like, for most people, it's like this. It's either complacency or it's going bad out of hell and burning out. Either way, not effective long-term, right? So John, as you progress out into the world and not in this course, and like I said before, you'll have all this free time that you didn't have before, like sitting here right now. Time to ramp up. I mean, play with it. You got nothing to lose, because if you remember and write this down, you are not a failure if you take on too much and back down to a place that's good, and you did it and you back down and you are still staying engaged. Failure is, I took on too much and burnt out and do nothing. But I hope that you have the training. I know you have the training now, but it's hard. But hopefully you can ramp it up. Just go. Try something. Just lower your other steps and put a step on there that's kind of in your area that you want to. Now you're done. You got 1 more week left. You kind of got this now. Don't do it quite yet. Wait till you're out of the program so you have actual free time, and try to ramp up some things just for fun. It's okay. You can ramp back down. You can bring it. You can decrease just as easily as you increased, and it's not a failure. It's you figuring out what works. That is success. When you're figuring out what works, that is success. When you try too much and stop doing anything, talk about complacency. That's serious complacency. So, Valerie, I'm sure this is bad, asked previously, but what do you do with a task that isn't an everyday, such as training for a race or similar, but you don't run every day? So training for races and things like that, to me, they don't really apply to my approach. My approach is about the everyday stuff. When I trained for an ultra marathon, I follow the last one I didn't, but in general, I follow a training plan. This is a specific, I've got to train this way. My race is on February 10th. I've got an end date. That's fine. And there's tons of training plans. You can work with a coach. Fine. That's not what this is. This is the everyday baseline, raising this so that you can actually, to me, afford better those points where you train for a race, whatever, some challenge. Those are amazing. They're great. I'm the baseline guy. I'm the boring nerd in the corner talking about everyday living. With that said, so that's kind of that thing. With that said, there are going to be some steps that are not everyday steps. Like, I have a step on my list, which is play guitar 1 time a week. I don't even put a time on it now. Right now it is play guitar 1 time a week. I did it yesterday. I picked up my guitar for about 3 minutes, and that was my step. But again, it's on my radar, and I'm hoping to increase it, at some point. So when you say, what do you do with a task that isn't every day? So again, when you say such as training for a race or similar, but you don't run every day, when you're training for a race, you should follow a training plan or have some sort of set. Or if you set your own training plan, that's a thing that you write down and say, okay, well, I'm setting my own training plan for this race that's coming up. I'm going to run Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, take Saturday off, run Sunday, whatever that is, and write that down. And that's what you're following. That doesn't really fall in the small step thing, because you are, in theory, putting yourself in a little more stress during that time, and you are putting other things on hold because the race is the thing. When I was training for my Spartan race that I did earlier this year, I didn't do yoga. I didn't do as much running because I was doing more weight, more strength training. So it adjusted a lot of other things in life. I wasn't trying to get a crack in of moving my body. I was very focused on this one thing, and that's great. And that's what I did. And it was fun. And I'm glad I did it. Once the race was finished, then I got back into my moving my body most days. I started getting into yoga. So I've been doing a lot more yoga of late. That's just me. So play with that whole thing, Valerie. Get your sights set on your race in either a training plan or your own training plan. But that's that thing. That's a fixed thing. So that's what that is. But for every day, eating every day, the eating thing, the meditating thing. Now, if you're training for that race and that's your kind of that thing, you are going to be pushing some other things down. So let's say you had a step on your list, which was 10 minutes of meditation per day in the morning because you weren't doing that much movement. You were running for a few miles and you had time. This is all hypothetical. Well, now you're training for a race. Now all of a sudden you're running 6-7 miles a day. Well, maybe the meditation step goes down during this short period of time to 1 minute a day or to 30 seconds a day or something that keeps it in your ball game because it's good for overall stress and whatever. And you do it at night, maybe when you're not exercising, whatever, you make that adjustment. This is the back and forth of the small steps, things that the race that you're training for hypothetically is essentially the analogy is you get a new job. There are going to be things in your life that either you insert in your life by applying and getting a new job, or life inserts in your life, like you get laid off at your job and you find another job and you didn't expect to, and you do. When this happens, those things like your race or a new job, for instance, or having a baby or getting married, all these things, they are sucking energy and time initially. They are requiring more attention than something that you're just used to doing. During that time that they're sucking that much attention, you will need to adjust other things that you were doing. When you get a new, like I've said this before, when you get a new job, you have a new commute and new coworkers and new route to work, and it's all new and fresh, and you have to pay attention to that. So maybe you lower all the other things that you're doing, decrease some things. Maybe you still eat well, but you don't move as much or whatever. And then until that job settles down and becomes, yeah, I got this, or until your race is finished and you're back into your everyday living. That's how this works. There are going to be things that happen in your life that will require you to that will require you to take more attention out of your day for this thing for a while, usually short term. Adjust your steps list accordingly. When that thing becomes normal, or when you're done with the race, step list comes back up and things normalize until your next thing that happens, whether it's your choice or not. And that's just, again, raising the bar of the everyday. That's what this is about, raising the bar of the everyday, so that everyday Valerie, everyday John is a healthier and happier person day to day, more prepared, more mentally strong, more physically strong, better prepared in mind and body to take on new challenges, or when life throws you something that you weren't expecting, you're better prepared for those things. We do not, in my opinion, pay enough attention to our everyday. We are low bar for our bodies and minds every day. We're stressed, we're not eating well, and then we put ourselves into a challenge of a race, or something happens and we have a new job, and it tanks us. It takes us down. And it does that because we're not strong enough day to day. We are not strong enough day to day. That's the boring part of my work, and is the most exciting part of my work, which is how do I get people to focus on that thing, that everyday boring, going to work, eating meals, moving our bodies, the day-to-day stuff. That's the challenge. To me, that's the challenge. Nobody pays attention to that stuff. Nobody. Most people don't, but you guys do. You raise up that strength, man. Then you're ready to pop into all those cool, fun things. That's the adventure of life. But small stepping allows you to do, my sell is it allows you to do more of the adventure stuff, more of the fun stuff, and handle the stuff that we don't want, but comes to us. Death in the family, breakups, things that occur. But we're not we don't give our power over to those things as much when we're stronger in mind and body. We go, okay, this sucks and it's sucking for me and it's more stressful, but I'm of a better quality in my own life to deal with this better, and I'm going to get through it better because I did the due diligence day to day. To me, that's where the heroism lives, is in the day to day stuff. It's the stuff that is more interesting to me than the person who climbs Everest. It's just what it is. So anyway, Valerie says, got it. Well, then fantastic. I have done my job in that 3 minutes that I did my job. Anyway, yeah, so I'm writing a little note. For myself, I might even talk about this in my next podcast. John says, Ben, working on better sleep habits, trying not to fall into the trap of overwhelming info in, I think he's still typing, overwhelming information. Yeah, you know, like that's the thing too, right? How I'm going to guess that you're still working on this, but I'm going to interpret what you're saying by this influx of us being on social media too much, being on news too much, and what that does to our sleep patterns. You know, reading the news right before you go to bed. I mean, I do it sometimes, and I'm like, that was a freaking mistake, you know? And so having these rules, self-made rules, I think are highly effective. A lot of people go like, I don't want rules in my life. Really, you have rules in your life. You already do. It's just, can we just grow up about this? Create some constraints in our lives that make us feel better long-term. Is it such a bad thing to govern our lives, to manage our lives with more control? Or is it just better to say, man, hey man, whatever you feel? No, I don't agree. I don't see people happy that way. I do not see people happy that way. I don't see people happy meditating 30 minutes and they do nothing else and they think that's going to be the solution, and they go into the world and they're just as stressed and unhealthy as they ever were. I meditate for 30 minutes every morning. Big deal. What happens when you go into the world and you got to deal with your job? What then? You got to deal with a craving for food that you don't even want and you can't feel like you can't help yourself. What then? And so that's the deal. John says, been reading a book on sleep habits, lots of info in it. Try not let the info overwhelm me. Oh, so in an actual book. Yeah. I mean, we learned about diet's a perfect example of that. How many people want to eat healthy, right? And so they become over-informed, and it ends up just muddling the brain. I mean, one of the things I would do as a nutritionist to this day, the other thing I'm working on with Matt Fraser is a meal plan, is just stop. You don't need that much information. You're not a nutritionist. You know, nobody is reading how to fix their car. They take it to a freaking mechanic and the mechanic fixes the car. We don't need to become over-informed in every single thing that we do just because the information is out there. And so we end up getting more informed. And I'm not anti-information. I am anti-learning so much instead of doing. That's what I've said for a long time. Learn and do simultaneously. Act on what you know right now. And as you know more, you may change your activity. But I got to know more. I got to read more. I got to know more. I can't act yet. I can't do things to help me sleep better. I have to read 1,000 other things about sleeping better. I guarantee you, if you read 5 pages of that book, there was some tip that you could act on and maybe create a small step around. Same thing with food. We know before we pick up nutrition book 1 that fruits and vegetables are good for you. People can create a step based on what they know right now. You do not need to read 1,500 books on nutrition. You just don't. You can begin the process of eating better starting today. Movement. We don't need to read a book on exercise, physiology, and everything else unless we want to, and that's great. But we can start moving today, right now, with one small step, which is 1 squat per day. Then we become a person who exercises every day as we're getting more informed about exercise. And then read as much as you want. I love that stuff. I read a ton of that stuff about ultramarathoning before I ran my first ultramarathon, but was also running along the way and exercising. I didn't do nothing and then try to go run 10 miles. So my cat is in here and creating havoc in my studio. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. Anyway, so that's how that goes. John, out of pure curiosity, will you send me throw down in the comment section the name of that book? Because I'm curious about it, because I've been doing some reading for years on sleep and things like that, and I always am curious. So if it's a good book, I want to check it out. If you don't mind sharing that with me. My cat is literally walking into the ceiling of my studio, and I don't know what is going on here. Anyway, sorry. John, aren't you the one that has the cat? Oh, boy. Anyway. Okay, so keep on. Give it to me. Any more questions that I can help you with? I'm here. Probably go for 30 minutes today, since it's just a couple on the chair behind me. Can a step? Okay, here we go. Can a step be something of constraint or limiting, such as social media parameters, rather than something to do, something not to do? That's a very, very good question. My feeling on this, as the guy who created this thing is I never, and I don't want to say for you, I'm not saying never, I'm saying for me, I have never advised a not to do something step. Okay. I have never advised a not to do something step with food or otherwise. I never have stop eating junk food. I never have less social media. I never have less sitting on a couch in lieu of moving. I'm always about action and activity. My work in this field has been how difficult it is for us to stop doing something. We focus on what we're not doing. I don't find that effective. It can be maybe. I don't find it effective. I've never found it effective to tell somebody, stop eating that. And then they just think about what they're not eating all the time. What I say is you create a vacuum in your life when you say, I'm going to stop doing this. You have got to have an answer for what you're going to do instead. That's a small step. If you don't have an answer, you're going to spend all this willpower trying not to do something instead of doing something to fill in your life more. So I'm just telling you right now, you can play with it, have fun with it. I'm just saying I've had clients who spend too much time on social media. That's their assessment, not mine. And instead of me saying 5 minutes less social media, I say can you do this is actually one step that we worked out together, which was, can you every hour that you're on social media, and this person was on multiple hours per day, I'm not joking, every hour, can you get up and walk around for 5 minutes outside? And that was the beginning of this process. Why? Because it broke up this routine. It wasn't timing 5 less minutes. It was alarm goes off, get up, walk outside for 5 minutes. I'm not taking social media away from them. They're not feeling like they can't do it, but they don't really want to do it. So it's kind of that intricacy of that, but get up, go outside. They're breathing outside. They're having some fresh air. They realize how lovely it is outside. All these amazing things happen. They come back in. Over time, when they come back in, they're like, they're more aware in their lives. They're more present, that really actually. And then they start realizing, I don't really want to be on social media so much. It's a secondary effect. If I did the 4 hours less social media per day, again, that's stop eating junk food. And people can do that for short term, but they've got to know what to do long term. Otherwise, that is going to tank them. They're going to fail. And that's, again, with the diet. I always come back to diets. Thank you, John, for that title, Sleep Smarter. So, Valerie, in answer to your question, no, I don't. I don't advise it. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm saying play with it. But to me, it is so much more effective to say, what do I want to do in my life? Not what I don't want to do. What do I want to do? To me, it's less exciting to say, I don't want to eat any more junk food than to say, I want to fill my body with nutritious food that is going to give me energy and make me feel better in my mind and body. I want to focus on adding in this amazing stuff. To me, it's a better mindset issue than I've got to stop this. I shouldn't do this. I can't do this. I don't want. That's a whole pushing away actually negative thing. It's like, I'm not doing this thing. It's like smoking. I'm going to smoke one less cigarette. Well, then you're just in the smoking world. You're just thinking about cigarettes all the time. Smoke. Then start taking care of yourself, adding in good food, moving your body, meditating. All lo and behold, all the things that drove you to smoking get better in your life. You're feeling better. Now you have a cigarette. It doesn't make you feel good. You're aware of it. It's something you don't want to do, and you know it now. And you know it in the moment that you do it. That's when the change starts to occur. You're emboldening and strengthening so that you don't need that stuff anymore. And so that's where I stand on that. I mean, fully squarely. That's where I stand on that. Okay. Sleep Smarter by Shawn Stevenson. Okay. Stay on action and doing rather than takeaway. Every time. Every small step that I'll put that broadcast just in case. Every small step you do is an activity. Every small step you do is an action. Every small step you do is an accomplishment. I want you to focus that you can absolutely do things. How I know is if you set the step small enough that you do it, no problem, like one squat, you do it. You get very trained and used to accomplishing. That's a recipe of success. When I have worked with clients who eat junk food 3 times a day, and my only change with them on food is to eat 1 stalk of celery in addition to all the junk food they're eating, they know right away on day 1 that they can eat healthy food. It is a possibility, and they are eating healthy food every single day very quickly. Not enough. Who cares? It's here. then the crack has been made and they can build into that, all because they have added something, an activity that they can accomplish and they know they can. That is the confidence and self-esteem that I promise with this program. If you do the actual program, which is, again, the actual physical steps list, the first task, second task, the thinking around these things, the journaling, the work, this is what that is. And so it is that that focus on accomplishing and doing every single time. That is what builds a self-esteem and self-confidence. That's what will lower your overall step and get you to that point. It's what it is every time. Yeah, so here I am. I'm good. I hope I answered that question. I'm making some notes. Any questions that I can assist with? Got a few more minutes left. And really play with that, Valerie, by the way. If there are things there are things we don't want to do. I'll use myself as an example. I wrote this in my new book, so it's what it is. I walk in the house sometimes stressed from work because I'm thinking about work and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I could have created a step that said, don't think about work when you walk in the house. Okay, but that's easier said than done. I don't know. Okay, I'll stop thinking about work. What do you think I'm going to think about? So instead I said, well, I know I don't want to do it. What do I want to do? I want to clarify what that is. This is first task business. I want to walk in the house calm. I want to walk in the house not distracted. I want to walk in the house as the person that I am, not stressed and thinking about work. That's what I want. Okay, I got that down. What can get me there? Well, taking some deep breaths in the car was my actual step. I park my car. I take about 4 or 5 deep breaths. Calm down. Remember who I am. Then walk in the house. That solved the issue almost 98%, almost 100%. About 98% of the time, I am in a different ballgame when I walk in the house. I am not stressed out on my phone. It changed because I knew, yes, I didn't want to be this way, but I had to ask the question of what did I want to be? Who am I really? That's first task business. Who am I really? I'm the guy who walks in the house, not stressed about work. That's who I am. It's not going to be 100%, but taking a few deep breaths returns me to that person. Taking 3 deep breaths before you eat your food, even whatever food. I'm not even going to ask you. Just 3 deep breaths. Get in that practice of taking a few deep breaths. Things will change along the way. You're going to take a few deep breaths. You're not going to overeat potentially down the line. It's a potential. I'm not going to say 100%, but there's a potential. Or you go, I don't really want this. And it's going to change your behavior instead of you focusing on what I don't want to do all day. I don't want to eat this way. I can't eat this way. I shouldn't eat this way. I don't like that business. I don't like for anybody, including myself, I don't like the business of I'm crappy, I'm weak, I have no willpower, I'm not disciplined, I'm stupid, all this kind of stuff. I hate it. I hate it so much. I don't want anybody to think that kind of stuff ever. We all do, but I don't want it. So I want people to think, I did this today. I'm doing this. I'm taking control of my life. It's small right now, but I'm doing it. I'm stopping this business of going too much and burning out and I'm not doing that anymore. I'm moving my body every day. I'm eating healthy food every day, maybe in small amounts, but I'm doing it. Because I'm doing it, I'm taking a different tack this time that's going to potentially work long-term instead of this business of this, like I said before. All right, Mr. John, I find myself doing the deep breaths now almost unconsciously at times during the day. Okay, 100%. That actually happened to me too. And it has happened with many clients where I start them with like 1 or 2 deep breaths in the morning. I'm not kidding. Or a deep breath in the morning, deep breath at night. This is a great step. 2 steps on your steps list. 1 deep breath in the morning, 1 deep breath at night. Lo and behold, there's a huge chance that all of a sudden you get on your radar, then you're at work and you're like, I breathe in the car now. I breathe at work at my desk. I go in downstairs. I take a deep breath. I mean, these are things that matter. They do. And it all started with some stupid, on paper looking dumb, ineffective step, which is 1 deep breath in the morning. That's how ridiculous this thing is. And it works. It works because you get it under your radar and all of a sudden, now you're taking deep breaths. The more deep breaths you take during the day, that's meditation, by the way. 100%, it is absolutely meditation because you're taking an intentional deep breath. You're present in that moment. That's what meditation is. You're not thinking, I'm stupid in the moment that you take your deep breath. And you do that throughout the day. Guess what happens? Your overall stress, documented, lowers. Meditation, it's studied, it's researched. We know that. And when you can build in that kind of momentary meditation throughout the day, that is when you're attention goes up, when your awareness goes up. And when you are in a state of better awareness and attention, you're less apt to overeat potato chips mindlessly, because you're a little more there. And over time, you're going to see, like, I'll have a few and I'll be like, I don't want any more, because you're like, no. It's the mindless state that kills us, right? We're just, same thing with me. If I'm stressed, I'm just eating a scone, and it's like, oh my God, where'd the scone go? Oh, I ate it? Wait, what? How did that happen? It's like so instantaneous and so robotic, right? Infusing moments of awareness, that's how we affect change in every regard, in every part of our lives, in the way we move our bodies, the way we eat, the way we journal and socialize. When I'm present with my family, it's because I'm making effort at other times to be more present in general. Again, I'll say it again, the boring baseline. That's what this is about. This is about more awareness and engagement day to day, so that you can do whatever you want more often than not, and not to expect 100%, because it ain't going to happen. We're up against crazy stuff, but more often than not, I think it's a pretty good deal. And way better than most people ever achieve, because they did it 100%. And then they do it no. And not only they're not doing it at all, they feel bad about the fact that they're not doing it at all. And then it's the snowball effect of bad behaviors, of just, I'm going to mask this pain with more cheese pizza because I feel bad about myself. Well, I don't want people to feel bad about themselves. I want them to eat cheese pizza if they choose to eat cheese pizza, or not if they don't. And that's a powerful position, not a, I did this and didn't even think about it position. Very different. Very, very different. Okay. We are at 31 minutes. I'm happy to hang for a few more minutes if you guys have questions. Otherwise, we can shut her down and I can, okay, here we go. Bad mousing on my, it took a little time to get used to the small step, but I've come to value the success in the small things, right? And I like that you put quotes around small, because again, it's small here. So I'm not even going to ask you what those steps are, because if they're small here, then they're not going to stress you out too much. They're adding, again, that perfect adaptive stress. You will continue to value, because like John said, it's these little moments, fine and great, take that deep breath, but all of a sudden it's bleeding into other areas unexpectedly. It's like little things you do affect virtually every, including your relationships. Like if there's magic in this process, it's not really magic, but it's in that thing. Somebody spends 10 minutes a day in the morning writing their novel, and it's 10 minutes, but it's not a independent packaged 10 minutes. It is 10 minutes that then feeds into every part of their lives. And every time they're having a rough time, they can think of this thing they're working on and divert their mind into this creative pursuit that is adding value to their lives, and they feel better. And it's at other times, and it's never ever just about that 10 minutes. No step is ever in isolation. It's not an island. It can't but affect every part of your life. And that is the beauty of this thing, that is beyond any kind of behavior. Most people who if there are practitioners out there who talk about small steps, but they're very oriented in like micro step to get you to be more effective at work. These are bigger, to me, my approach is bigger picture stuff. This is life quality stuff. Yes, it'll affect your work. Of course, it's going to make you more effective at work, but also help you eat better. And also it's a developing here. A lot of the small steps talk out in the world is about the thing that you want to do. It's really about the thing you want to do. Whereas what I'm talking about is how you approach the thing you want to do. To me, those are very, very different things. And I want you to have a mindset where whatever you approach, you do it in a way that actually sets you up for something really fun and failure free. If you choose to stop doing something because you don't dig it, I could tomorrow go like, I don't want to play music anymore. Okay, well, who cares? I'm not a failure. I chose not to do it. I tried it and did it regularly, let's say, but I don't want it anymore. I don't want it. Fine. And then there's no failure, is there? Because you're like, I don't want to do that. I decided it was not fun. I thought it was. It turned out not to be. So super cool, Valerie. You're going to play around with this a little bit more in the perfect safety of this program, to just kind of in this 12 weeks, play with this stuff. Come to me if you're feeling reserved and like, well, I don't know what to do. This feels weird. It doesn't feel, I feel like I want to do more. Good. Let's have that conversation. Let's talk about that, what that really, really means. And then people get the help because these are archived for people to see. All right. Should we hang it? Anything else? Shut it down at 35 minutes? Let me know. Give me a See ya. I was in Colorado over the weekend. That's why I didn't do this thing on a weekend, by the way. I usually do it on the weekends. I feel like that's easier for people, but maybe not. I don't know. Thanks to you, Valerie. John, you good? Week 11, John. Look at you. You're like a veteran. Like, I've been around the block a few times on the small steppers. I've seen it. Gin Blossoms playing. Hear me would like to the Posies. Oh, interesting. I'll leave you with this, John, since we tend to foray into music. Big Thief. Have I mentioned that? My new favorite band, Big Thief. And the lead singer, Adrienne Lenker, this girl who is phenomenally, I just think she's fantastic, has a new solo album out. But look up NPR Tiny Desk Big Thief. That's your task for this week. It's part of the Small Steppers program, so just do it. I already mentioned it. I don't know. I was just listening to Adrienne, and now you just burst my bubble. I was all excited about that. How about Phoebe Bridgers? Check her out too. Okay? All right, you guys. Thank you very much. Next week, we're back. John, you're going to be in week 12. Crazy times. And you guys have a great week. And I will look out for the email for the next live Q&A. All right? Thank you very much. Have a good week.